I'm going to take my own good advice that I just gave everyone else a few weeks ago, and I'm going to work ahead. I'm going to work far ahead so that I know that my project will be done in time for the thing. I know that in June, I have a Regency ball coming up. I know this is happening. I also know that my daughter is joining me. I also know that I'm not woo about sewing for anyone who rapidly changes sizes. That is probably at the top of my list of the people that I don't sew for. However, I've gotten clever and I think I know what I'm going to do with this, and I think that I can create a size adjustable Regency gown, petticoat, and chemise. I believe that I can do this. But I'm getting ahead of myself because we must take care of a few practical things first. First of all, you must take care of the underwear. Ta-da! I made a new purchase. Regency short stays. I could have sewn it. I absolutely could have. Do I want to, though? Not especially. Not at this juncture in my life. So I've obtained the corsetry. I have all of this to make 2 chemises. The thing that goes under this so that this doesn't need washing all the time. Put something underneath your corset. And I have silk for the petticoat. We need to sew. This is the Laughing Moon Ladies Bodice Petticoat 1800 to 1825 pattern. I bought their PDF pattern and had it professionally printed out because I'm emotionally over taping patterns together. I then traced the pattern size I needed so that I could use the professional print in the future. We will be sewing View A. Historically speaking, bodice petticoats seem to have been made from cotton, linen, or silk and used either as underwear or underdresses intended to be worn under sheer dresses. I cut out the bodice first. It took forever to get this very lightweight and highly mobile silk crepe de chine to actually be where it needed to be. If you're using a highly mobile fabric, plan on a much longer cutout process and gather all of your patience before you do it. Start with the bodice darts, press, and mark your sewing line, especially if it's a highly mobile fabric. You're going to want that marked. Attach the straps, attach the bodice back. Make a mark 1 1/4 inches along the back, iron in, and then fold in and iron again. These two will overlap in the back and have button closures. I plan on doing those last so that I'm not messing around with a bodice that has an open edge. I'm very much wanting to handle this as little as possible until sewn. I do not want stretching or fraying. At this point, I realized that the provided seam allowance was more than enough to fell the stitches, which will increase the longevity of this item. It's silk. I'm planning on parts of it being hand sewn. Therefore, I'm very interested in making this item last as long as possible. If nothing else, I'm starting to realize that I am deeply into luxury sewing results that include inside the garment finishing techniques that make me go, ooh. I created my own bias strips, and yes, I'm aware that there are tools to help this process, but all of the tools that I've ever used have resulted in results, so I actually do prefer to do it this way. This is the point where I spent a few days hand sewing the bias strips to the bodice. The important part of this is that there's a silk ribbon drawstring to help pull in the neckline, and I have 30 very sped up minutes of hand sewing this in a separate episode, so we're going to quickly move past this here. I had a narrow fabric that did not allow me to cut out the back of the skirt in one piece, so I had to add in another panel. If you need to do the same, pause and have a sit and think as to where you want to add in another seam, and if where you are wanting to add this will make future pleating difficult with the extra panel not being attached at the time of making the markings for pleats. I hemmed the skirt, and before attaching the skirt, I also created the tucks. I used a ruler and iron to make this happen, and yes, this pretty much took all day. I slowly sewed the skirt to the bodice. The bodice is now carrying an insane amount of fabric. This is the point that I'm thinking, wow, this is luxury. With the provided 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, there was again more than enough fabric to fell the seam down and hide all rough edges.